Thanks, Father Peter, for making the time available to us today. This is the fourth year that you've been together up here, the three dioceses, the interdiocesan venture up here at St. Joseph's. How has it been going?
Certainly the experience as it was envisioned by His Eminence, Cardinal Dolan, Bishop DiMarzio, and Bishop Murphy. It was the Cardinal and the bishops who really had the vision to put together this program that brought originally the Diocese of Brooklyn and Rockville Center here to what is the Seminary of the Archdiocese of New York, St. Joseph's, in the formation of the partnership. Since that time, the growth that we've experienced, if that may be some indication in the way in which it's been received, has also now included the Diocese of Bridgeport. So Bishop Caggiano is sending this year, for the second year in a row, men from his diocese. And for the first time, we have men coming from the Diocese of Albany, Bishop Scharfenberger.
You know, we talk about the great diversity of the diocese around here. Does the community here itself, is that reflective of the diversity, the ethnic diversity of the New York City?
That's one of the many blessings that we have. The men here come from 22 different countries. In terms of the roster that I have with regard to country of birth, 22 different countries are represented here.
How could you tell if a priest is really happy?
How can you tell if a priest is happy? That's a good question, and I think that's one of the things that we're looking for. We want to be able to see that the man himself has experienced that kind of inner transformation that is the result of his encounter with Jesus. That's the source of happiness. If he has had that encounter with Jesus, if he has come to know Jesus and his body, the church, and if he feels that this is his place in the service of Jesus and the church, it's that grace that begins to permeate the man's life and is translated in the very practical ways of how he is seen in the service of all the assignments he begins to receive pastorally.
Talk a little bit about the spiritual development of the men here, that their prayer life, the communal prayer life, they get together every day to pray, right?
Right. That's a good point, and that, of course, is the heart of the seminary. The horarium, or the schedule of each day, begins in the morning with meditation and morning prayer in the main chapel. Then the men are in class, and then following class, again return to the main chapel for Mass. Late in the afternoon, before dinner, the men come together in the main chapel for evening prayer. And then 4 nights a week, from 8 until 10 o'clock, we have exposition and Eucharistic adoration. And that concludes with night prayer.
How do faculty and students interact? I know that in the old days, it was mostly separate existence, faculty and students, but today it's more interactive. How does that happen on a daily basis?
That's a great question, Ed. On a daily level, I would hope that the interaction happens on multiple levels. First, in prayer. I mean, as I said to you before, when you asked a very important question about the prayer life and the horarium of the seminary, the life of the seminary revolves around the hours of prayer. Faculty are present with the men in morning prayer, at Mass, in evening prayer. And the evening time, especially with that Eucharistic adoration, is a time that is also optional. I think that's very important. The men who are coming in terms of Eucharistic adoration and benediction, there is a minimal requirement that is made of them, but by and large, that continues because the men are supporting it. And they interact with the faculty also in those moments. Obviously, here in the seminary, they interact with faculty, both priest faculty and lay faculty, religious, in the classroom. And that's a very important place, obviously, of interaction. They interact with faculty as in a relationship of formation advisor to the seminarian. Each seminarian has a faculty formation advisor. He interacts with that formation advisor on all these, as we call them, dimensions or pillars of formation, so that that faculty advisor, that formation advisor, is listening to him, accompanying him, walking with him in terms of all those things that are going to be important for him to develop in terms of the human, the spiritual, the intellectual, and the pastoral pillars of his dimension.
Would you say that that's a big change in seminary training? It used to be more introverted, and now it's more outward looking.
But certainly here in the United States, the notion of the seminary as something that was was restricted in terms of formation programs. Those, as you know, those programs began to open up after the time of the Second Vatican Council as more lay people became involved in the MA programs and different programs that were being offered. All of it ultimately depends on just our being docile and listening to the power of the Holy Spirit and to the grace of God moving us along, and also making all of the corrections for all of the bumps along the way, for which I know I am responsible for a great deal of them. So I'm not going to push that off on anybody else. I take full responsibility for any of the shortcomings that we've experienced here.
Thanks again, Father Peter, for your time.
Thank you, Ed. You're always welcome here. Thank you very much.